Chapter 831, Still First Place. Central Continent, East Coast. Waves were rumbling, crashing into one another. Frost energy oozed, creating white fog that covered hundreds of years ago. A piece of profound ice floated over from somewhere into Central Continent's East Coast. This profound ice was huge. It was like an island. It was overflowing with frost energy. Many ice path wild goo were gathered on it. The frost energy even got absorbed into nearby trees. After the profound ice was found, it attracted a lot of commotion. The goo masters living in the East Coast tried to guess the origin of this profound ice. There were two theories. One was that the profound ice came from far away in the east. It could have originated from Eastern Sea's icy sea region. This sea region had low temperatures all year round. It was icy cold. Streams of icy water flowed like dragons or snakes, coiling around deep in the sea. Once they reached close to the surface, they formed into huge pieces of ice. The second theory was that white heaven had a crack and a piece of ice fell from it. The size of it should have been immensely larger at first, but as it fell, it melted due to the friction against the air. After it ended up in the sea, it cooled down and formed this profound ice island. The edges of this island were smooth and shiny. There were no rough edges. It resembled melted candles, attesting to the credibility of this theory. This profound ice was beached on the sandy shore. It did not move at first. A large number of mortal goo masters were attracted and came to scour the place. These goo masters, who enjoyed the benefits of being the closest and earliest to arrive, all made great fortunes. The wild goo and icy trees on the profound ice were all looted. Over the next handful of years, more goo masters came to the profound ice, staying here permanently with no intention of leaving. It turned out that although the profound ice island was lacking in resources, the profound ice was hard to melt. The frost energy it gave off made it the perfect place for ice path cultivators to stay in. Central Continent's East Coast was tropical. It was warm all year round. It was hard for ice path goo masters to support cultivation. Thus, regarding this profound ice island, many ice path and water path goo masters were attracted here. Places with humans have conflict. The island had limited capacity. As more people came, in order to defend their own interests, the goo masters on the island gathered into an alliance, creating a tight boundary around the ice island and preventing outsiders from coming in. Thus, a moderately sized force was created. After several hundred years of development, this loose lone cultivator alliance, due to several generations of ambitious leaders, slowly became more firmly structured. They formed a sect. As they developed, the sect grew larger. It was a large force now. There was no force in the surroundings that could match them. This sect's name was Flying Frost Sect. It hinted that the profound ice island that was the foundation of this sect came from far away, long ago in history. The second round of competition of Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was being held. One of the places was Flying Frost Sect. Fang Yuan held the token as he came to Flying Frost Sect. The task here was to refine the rank 2 Ghost Fire Goo. The rules had changed. It was no longer deciding the winner by quantity, but using time instead. It asked the Goo Master to refine 10 Ghost Fire Goo at once. Goo Masters using less time would get better positions. The specifications were listed. Using 15 minutes or less would be first place. Since this operated on a first-come, first-served basis, if someone gets first, then another person who beat the 15-minute requirement would only get second. If second place was taken, they would only place third. If all 3 positions were taken, they would get no rewards. This time, the reward for first place was 5 rank 3 Ice Path Goo Worm recipes. 4 Refinement Path Goo Masters, Ice Path Goo Masters, or even large forces. This had a lot of attraction. When Fang Yuan stepped into the hall to refine goo, the first 3 positions were still open. The difficulty of the second round is much harder than the first round. It is not hard to refine 10 Ghost Fire Goo one by one. I can easily use less than 15 minutes. But the challenge is in refining 10 Ghost Fire Goo at once. Ghost Fire Goo is both a fire path and soul path goo. The steps are quite tricky and complicated. They would expend a lot of mental energy. If I keep on refining them, over time, my soul will turn weak very easily. This is one of the special traits of soul path goo worms. Fang Yuan considered it. He decided to use soul path and fire path techniques together to burn ghostly souls and create fake ghost fires, then using them to refine true ghost fires. Flying Frost sect was a righteous sect. Fang Yuan had to prepare the ghostly souls himself if he wanted to burn them. Flying Frost sect would not provide such a goo refinement material. Evil and unorthodox methods. Seeing Fang Yuan's technique, and Han, who was outside, snorted. The leader of Flying Frost sect, who was managing the event on the stage, watched as his pupil shrunk. He thought. Five Virtues sect's leader tried to gather this person but was rejected. This person is burning souls now in public. This is clearly a demonic act. He is an unscrupulous individual. Even if Flying Frost sect recruits this person, we will only invite trouble. Forget about it. Other than abiding by no fighting or killing, any goo master could join the refinement path convention, be they righteous or demonic. There were no limitations that barred demonic path goo masters. They could only use refinement path techniques to interact and compete. Precisely because of such freedom, the refinement path convention was such a popular event. People who did not know the true details would think that this was the magnanimity of the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent. But only people like Fang Yuan knew this was because of the infallible inheritance. The infallible inheritance had hidden requirements. The more goo masters that participated, the better. But the righteous path and demonic path were different. Fang Yuan used souls to refine goo. This was an evil and cruel act that would be despised by the righteous path. The observing goo masters were mostly from the righteous path. Seeing a demon like Fang Yuan, they felt a strong sense of distaste inside them. They did not want to see Fang Yuan's goo refinement succeed. Maybe it was because of their collective wishes. At the crucial moment, the soul fire in front of Fang Yuan exploded. Out of the 10 ghost fire goo that were about to form, one of them had turned into ash, falling from the fire and piling on the floor. Everyone saw this, and their eyes shined brightly. Some indiscreet righteous path goo masters even made joyful exclamations. But immediately recalling Fang Yuan's rank 5 cultivation level, they shut up. Although the delight in their eyes could not be concealed, Han showed joy on his face as well. Fang Yuan gave him huge pressure. According to his earlier progress, he was already on the last few steps before succeeding. Fang Yuan's refinement speed was very fast. The souls were burning very effectively. If he passed the next few steps, he would be able to complete the refinement in less than 15 minutes. The position of first place would go to Fang Yuan. Of course, Fang Yuan had no interest regarding the reward and position that Han was different. He was the first elder of Flying Frost sect. As the host, if he lost, he would lose face in front of his peers. Furthermore, getting first place in one of the rounds of the Refinement Path Convention was an extremely great glory for Refinement Path goo masters. Finally, the first place reward also enticed Han greatly. Alright, this way, he would need to refine goo again. If he refines 9 ghost fire goo, missing one would mean he would not pass. He can only restart from scratch and make 10 more. He has to make them at the same time to pass. And Han controlled his expression from changing, feeling great joy inwardly. Indeed, evil deeds lead to bad outcomes. Even if he is using souls to refine goo, he is still going to fail. He reached first place in the first round at 5 Virtues sect, so be it. But here in Flying Frost sect, first place has to go to Lord and Han. Evil and unorthodox methods leading to goo refinement failure. This is truly heartening. The surrounding people talked among themselves. The stage itself had a goo formation that isolated sound, preventing the goo masters from being distracted. But just when they were all rejoicing, the ghost fire in Fang Yuan's hand split into 2 lumps. 2 lumps, one big and one small. Inside the large lump were 9 incomplete ghost fire goo, while the small lump had nothing. Fang Yuan's expression did not change. He breathed in deeply as he finally became more serious. Earlier, that ghost fire goo had exploded not due to his own mistake, but because refining goo had a chance of failure. Even though the failure rate of rank 2 goo was not high, and he had already performed as well as possible, when a minor stroke of bad luck like that hit him, there was nothing he could do. Now, he was holding the large lump of ghost fire and keeping it burning, while his other hand was throwing 3 souls into the small lump of ghost fire. A boar soul, a goat soul, and a human soul. The 3 souls burned together. The small lump of ghost fire burst into life. There were pitiful cries of pain coming from within. He is using a human soul. In broad daylight, he is publicly burning a human soul. This. He, worthy of a demonic path rank 5 expert, being so rampant. Flying Frost sect's members had ugly expressions. They were a righteous sect. Fang Yuan was burning a human soul to refine goo here openly. He was totally disregarding Flying Frost sect. But now was the refinement path convention. Even though Flying Frost sect was unhappy, they could not stop Fang Yuan from refining goo. Unless they wanted to offend the 10 great ancient sects and cause the downfall of their own sect. Fang Yuan's expression was calm. He was focused on the small lump of ghost fire. He continued to toss in goo refinement materials. The ghost fire was turning between big and small from time to time, interchangeably between strong and weak. When he got to a crucial step in the middle, he tossed in a fire pellet goo at lightning speed, as well as a soul ball goo. The 2 goo worms fused in the fire. They combined into one and created an incomplete ghost fire goo. Some knowledgeable goo masters saw this and gasped loudly. Tossing in 2 goo worms consecutively. This is the refinement path technique, consecutive toss. Even though consecutive toss is one of the basic refinement path techniques, this person is using it so well with much experience. It is almost like this is as easy as breathing to him. This is not something that talent alone can achieve. Countless sessions of practice and hard work are needed to reach such a stage. Does this person cultivate refinement path as his main path? Hard to say. When he signed up, he kept his sect and path a secret. He is a true demonic cultivator. He should not have a sect. His path is quite possibly refinement path. Everyone made guesses. Of course, they were completely off. Fang Yuan's main path was strength path. It had nothing to do with refinement path. He also had a proper status in a sect, being in a subsidiary force of Immortal Crane sect, one of the 10 great ancient sections. If everyone knew that the ruthless demon in front of them was a member of Immortal Crane sect, who knew what expressions they would show out a short while later, Fang Yuan succeeded in saving his refinement attempt. The 2 lumps of ghost fires fused into one. The last few steps were done smoothly without any additional mishaps. Eventually, the ghost fire burst out and scattered. 10 ghost fire goo flew out together. Outside the stage, not a person spoke. The expression of the elder of Flying Frost sect was dark. He announced helplessly. Refinement succeeded. Using less than 15 minutes. The first place of this round of the competition goes to Fang Yuan. Chapter 832. Senior Fang Yuan, I want to duel you. Fang Yuan quietly stood up under everyone's gazes, slowly walking out of the stage. Such deep foundation in refinement path. He can actually do 2 tasks at once. He slowed down the refinement speed of the 9 incomplete ghost fire goo while restarting the refinement of the final ghost fire goo with extremely high speed. Refining ghost fire goo consumes a lot of mental energy, but he still seems energetic even now. Could it be that he has cultivated soul path or wisdom path as well? And Han was shocked and uncertain. First elder? A disciple beside Han reminded him in a soft voice. What is it? And Han came back to his senses. He could not help but feel embarrassed. Unknowingly, he had stood up from his seat. Such a loss of composure was really damaging to his reputation. This moment. Flying Frost sect's leader looked at Han. This was the refinement path convention. They naturally had to use refinement path to restore their reputation. Han's heart skipped a beat as he realized the sect leader's intention. He had no choice but to comply. Seeing their first elder taking action, the spectating Flying Frost sect disciples applauded loudly. They no longer had the earlier listless expressions. Even outsiders could not help but cast optimistic gazes when they saw the famous Han exiting the stage. Among the crowd, however, were some people with discerning eyes. An old goo master sighed softly. This Han's situation doesn't look good. Why is that the case, master? A youth, standing beside the old goo master, asked with confusion. This master and disciple pair was the same pair of lone cultivators who had been walking beside Fang Yuan during the registration at 5 Virtues sect and had been pushed to the side by the burly men making way for Han. That demonic path goo master, Fang Yuan, is extremely terrifying. He has a high refinement path attainment level. His method just now involved far more than just doing 2 tasks at once. To do what he did, even I could only accomplish it back when I was in my peak condition. Outsiders cannot see the difficulty in this. The more proficient the refinement path Gu master is, the more they would be aware of it. This and Han also has extraordinary skills, but because of this, he understands even more that he cannot win against this demonic cultivator, Fang Yuan. Did you see how unsettled he looked when he stood up? It was because in his mind, he has already been intimidated by Fang Yuan. The old Gu master spoke with assurance, but with a soft voice. In this state, if he tries to refine Gu, he might not be able to even show half of his true skills. Most crucially, Fang Yuan has already taken the first spot. Even if Han tries harder, this won't change. That is, unless he can use a new method to finish the task in far less time than Fang Yuan. Then he can earn back the reputation that Flying Frost Sect lost. But if he had such talent, he would not have remained in Flying Frost Sect for so many years. The young Gu master nodded his head repeatedly in praise. Master, you are right. The sect leader of Flying Frost Sect is not an expert in Gu refinement. The move he is making now is a mistake due to his thirst for success. It is like what Master taught me. One cannot rush for quick results and be anxious when refining Gu. It seems that managing a sect also has the same logic. The old Gu master's eyes brightened and looked at his only disciple with satisfaction. Not bad. Disciple, you are truly talented. You have great ability and comprehension. The fact is, all paths lead to the great Tao. You were able to use the logic of Gu refinement and look at other aspects. It looks like your refinement path attainment has already reached a certain mastery level. You can definitely achieve success in this second competition. The young Gu master smiled. This is all because of Master teaching me unreservedly. If I was not picked out by Master, I would have already starved to death. My accomplishments today are all because of Master nurturing me. Disciple had a well-thought-out plan and could have captured first place by using just 13 Gu refinement techniques. But now, first place is already taken by that demonic path Gu master. Master, let Disciple seize that green shine Gu for you. What? The old master was greatly startled, quickly blocking him. Disciple, don't. But it was already too late. Youth knows no fear, the young Gu master shouted loudly. Senior Fang Yuan, may I be so bold as to request a duel with you? The entire conversation between the master and disciple seemed to have taken a long time, but only a few moments had passed. Fang Yuan had just left the stage and had not gone far because he still needed to receive the first-place reward from Flying Frost Sect. At the other end, and Han had stood up and was about to step onto the stage. The young Gu master's words caused a huge commotion that immediately attracted everyone's attention. There's a duel. They're going to duel. Who is that young man? He actually dares to duel with that rank 5 demon. I know him. He was second place at 5 Virtues Sect. He is a genuine refinement path genius. A young tiger does not fear an old lion's might. This will be a good show to watch. The old master had a pale expression. He could no longer stop this and could do nothing. He was feeling extremely worried and regretful deep inside. I only made efforts to impart refinement path knowledge to my disciple and forgot to teach him the dangers of worldly affairs. This is my mistake. I should not have neglected it. Meanwhile, the young Gu master, under everyone's gazes, walked slowly with his head held high, leaving the crowd and appearing in front of Fang Yuan with a shining gaze and firm expression. The first elder, and Han, had just stepped into the spotlight when such a situation occurred. All of the determination that he had just built up left him like a leaking balloon that he normally was a famous person, his every move would attract attention. But today was really difficult for him. He had made a fool of himself and was now ignored by the crowd. He was furious and hateful. Duel? Who wants to duel me? Fang Yuan smiled slightly and turned around to look at the challenger. Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was held once every 100 years. It was a grand event in all the 5 regions. Competitions were divided into large-scale and small-scale. Fang Yuan was currently participating in the large-scale competition of the 5 regions, which was the competition of the largest scale. First, the registration spots everywhere in Central Continent would eliminate large numbers of Gu Master through various rounds. Finally, Only a handful of participants could participate in the final contest. Small-scale competitions were often held in each region. According to past conventions, they were divided into Central Continent small-scale competitions, Southern Border small-scale competitions, Northern Plains, Eastern Sea, and Western Desert. These competitions were divided according to the geographical origins and were rather official. There were also many other small-scale competitions, for instance at the East Coast, which would be jointly held by Flying Frost Sect, Five Virtues Sect, and others. The eliminated Gu masters from the large-scale competition could participate in these small-scale competitions of East Coast. The largest number of small-scale competitions were held by small circles of people. For instance, 3 to 5 friends would set a time, put out wagers, or simply have a friendly contest with no rewards. The competitions could be further divided into open and private. Open battles could naturally be observed by others, but most of them sent invitations in advance, inviting limited number of distinguished guests to enjoy or evaluate. Private battles did not allow spectators, and the results were also not publicized. Large-scale competitions were the most open battles. They did not restrict anyone from viewing, but forbid the spectators from using any Gu worms. Every time Central Continent held the Refinement Path Convention, it would create a trend of Gu refinement flourishing everywhere in Central Continent. It was similar to the Earth's World Cup, the grand event of football that was held every 4 years. Often, at this time, even those who did not play football would try to play a bit of it. Those who did not pay attention to football would also give some attention to the matches that are in this world. Gu refinement was one of the 3 great aspects of Gu master cultivation. It was much more significant than the sport for entertainment, football. Thus, the Gu refinement trend it created was even larger and lasted longer. In this time, experiences and insights related to Gu refinement were greatly interchanged, largely pushing forward the growth of refinement path. Thus, almost every participating Gu master would reap some benefits. According to the different formats, the Refinement Path Convention could be divided into sect contests, duels, task contests, arena contests, and so on. Sect contests were contests where 2 or more sects sent similar numbers of Refinement Path Gu masters to compete in Gu refinement. Generally speaking, sect contests were used to solve conflicts of interest that in task contests. One side would give a difficult problem, while the other side had to solve it in arena contests. The Gu masters who were very skilled at certain areas of Gu refinement would set the arena and invite refinement path experts from all parties to compete. The arena organizer would put forward a wager, and each challenger also had to put up a wager. These arena contests often had plentiful amounts of rewards for duels. They were what Fang Yuan was encountering right now. It is this junior who wants to duel. The young Gu master walked towards Fang Yuan. His expression was neither haughty nor humble. Fang Yuan sized him up and felt some interest when he saw the youth in high spirits. "Lad, since you want to duel, then bet something that can interest me. Otherwise, I won't duel." Fang Yuan naturally had the right to refuse the duel. The Refinement Path Convention allowed duels, but did not have an unreasonable rule that said one had to accept duels no matter what. The young Gu master gave a serious nod. "I have a rank 5 Gu worms recipe with me. Senior, you are a rank 5 expert. This Gu recipe will suit you." This junior wants to bet against the rank 4 Green Shine Gu Yuan. Fang Yuan nodded. Green Shine Gu is a rare rank 4 Gu. Its value is equal to normal rank 5 Gu. But lad, do you know what my path is? Are you certain the Gu recipe you are betting suits my path? The young Gu master was stunned. Senior, aren't you in refinement path? Judging from his words, the Gu recipe he was betting was a refinement path Gu recipe. Fang Yuan chuckled. My main cultivation path is naturally not refinement path. Lad, you are actually using only one Gu recipe to bet against my rare rank 4 Gu. Do you not know that if the refinement of a rank 5 Gu fails, even people at my level can be injured? You are trying to harm me like this, but still think I am stupid enough to agree to your conditions. The young Gu master gulped a few times, but he could not say anything. For a while, he stood motionless on the spot. His master quickly hurried over and gave a deep bow to Fang Yuan. Since Sir is refusing the duel, then we won't duel. What, no duel? The spectators jeered, as they were going to miss a good show. The first place position holder of 5 Virtues Sect competition, the mysterious demonic cultivator, Fang Yuan, and the second-place position holder, the young Gu master Zhengshan Chuan. The battle between Dragon and Tiger is not going to be held because of insufficient betting capital? Come, come, let us all lend a hand. A pile of rocks can build a mountain. A nosy individual suggested. There is no need. It was my disciple's rashness. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. The old master was frightened and quickly bowed to everyone. Cupping his hands to salvage this situation, Dayan Han's eyes flashed ominously. He immediately sent out his instructions in a quiet voice. Soon, someone among the crowd put forward some resources. Many others responded and started to contribute one after another, urging this duel to continue. Chapter 833, Shanchuan Hall Creator. The atmosphere on the stage was getting more intense. Fang Yuan and the young Gu master, Zhengshan Chuan, could no longer avoid this issue. The elderly master also noticed that most of the Gu masters encouraging this came from Flying Frost's sect. His wrinkles became deeper as he showed a bitter expression. Fang Yuan thought about the name Zhengshan Chuan. He felt that it was familiar. But as an immortal zombie, his mind was not as sharp as if he was a living person. He could not remember it instantly. He stopped the star thoughts in his mind and activated memory thoughts to excavate his memories. He finally remembered that, yes, it turns out, in Central Continent's east coast, hundreds of years later, there was a superforce called Shanchuan Hall. Its creator was named Zhengshan Chuan. Shanchuan Hall was skilled in refinement path. When dream realms manifested and dream path was flourishing, Shanchuan Hall's leader benefited alongside the trends of that age and became a Gu immortal. But during that great era, mortals becoming Gu immortals was nothing special. Especially after dream realms appeared, there were countless opportunities given to ordinary Gu masters. Dragons and snakes were hiding in bushes. Most of them only lacked an opportunity. The manifestation of dream realms gave people their fortuitous encounters. During the 5 regions chaotic war, large numbers of Gu masters at the bottom of the hierarchy were given a chance to rise up. In the midst of the 5 regions chaotic war, all sorts of people emerged. They were numerous like the stars in the sky. They all had their stories. The 10 great ancient sects gradually lost control, with the rise of many forces, including 10 outstanding ones who called themselves the 10 new great sects. They opposed the 10 ancient sects openly. It was quite the spectacle. Unlike now, where the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent had control over the situation in Central Continent. Even if super forces which had Gu immortals wanted to separate from the 10 ancient sects and free themselves from the status of a subsidiary, it was difficult. In accordance with this time period, don't tell me that this Zhengshan Chuan in front of me is the creator of Shanchuan Hall. Since he could reach second place in 5 Virtues sect, he definitely has master-level attainment in refinement path. Being a refinement path master at such a young age, he truly is a genius. This fits the description of Zhengshan Chuan as well. A great teacher produces great students. This old man must be Old Man Shishan. Old Man Shishan was secretly poisoned by someone. It had been causing him great torment. Zhengshan Chuan was filial. He tried all ways to heal his master. That's right, Greenshine Gu is among the best healing Gu for treating heat toxins. Unfortunately, even Old Man Shishan did not know that the poison in him was a transforming poison. On the surface, it was a heat toxin, but after using Greenshine Gu, it would become a cold poison. The toxicity would intensify, becoming at least twice as severe. But eventually, Zhengshan Chuan succeeded in treating his master's poison. He gathered green shine Gu, blue shine Gu, red shine Gu, and others up to a total of 9 types of shine Gu, forming the killer move 9 shine. It could subdue all sorts of poisons. Later, his bloodline descendant became a Gu immortal, being Shan Chuan Hall's leader, promoting this killer move and changing it into the immortal killer move Profound Light 9 Shine. He became a light path healing expert, becoming quite famous during the 5 regions chaotic war. Fang Yuan used memory thoughts to excavate his memories. He quickly remembered these minute details that were deep in his memories. He understood everything going on around him, including in Han's schemes. After observing for a while, he felt that these 2 people were Old Man Shishan and Zhengshan Chuan. He used luck inspection Gu on the 2 of them. Flying Frost Sect was a test location for the Refinement Path Convention. There were goo worms set up to prevent goo masters from using their goo. Worms casually. But Fang Yuan had an immortal zombie body. He had strength path down marks on his body, and his immortal aperture was part of his body. When he used luck inspection goo, these mortals were defenseless. Immediately, Fang Yuan saw the luck of these two. Above his head, Zheng Shanchuan's luck was like a seven-colored rainbow, bright and imposing. It was out of the norm. Meanwhile, Old Man Shishan's luck was like a broken jade bowl. Traces of gray luck were leaking out of the bowl. Old Man Shishan's luck was terrible, but Zheng Shanchuan was intimately linked with him. The luck of the two were joined together. The seven-colored rainbow luck split out a portion of itself into Old Man Shishan's jade bowl luck, causing his gray luck to be moderated to a large extent. Fang Yuan felt interested, musing, to think that I would encounter the creator of Shanchuan Hall. Here, if I kill him, in several hundred years, the East Coast would not have a superforce called Shanchuan Hall. The moment Fang Yuan had killing intent, the luck of the both of them wavered. It was like a huge wind was blowing, causing the rainbow light to fade and be on the verge of destruction. But what benefit would I get if I do that? Northern Plains is already in chaos thanks to me. But that was not my intention. It was all because of Mo Yao's fake will. But who am I going to explain that to? I will leave Zheng Shanchuan alive. These people should continue on their original paths so that my rebirth advantage can be maintained. Fang Yuan thought again. When Fang Yuan was in Northern Plains, he knew about Ma Hongyun, but he did not kill him. This was not fear. This was the ambition of a demonic overlord in his previous life. He was a rank 6 Gu immortal, only a step from rank 7. But it was mostly due to his fortuitous encounters. He had actually wasted a lot of time during his life. Fang Yuan had self-confidence. Even if these people grow up, or even achieve greater accomplishments than in his memories, Fang Yuan could still contest with them and gain profits. He could even stomp on these people, carving out a path of blood as he sprints towards eternal life, as to whether eternal life really existed or not. Did that matter? Even if he died along the way, would there be regret? This was the life that Fang Yuan wanted to live. It was full of challenge, fun, and bitterness. Other than that, beauty, wealth, and authority were all nothing more than tools that he could make use of. Fang Yuan thought about this, and his killing intent towards this pair of master and disciple dissipated. Immediately, he saw that the luck of Zheng Shanchuan and Old Man Shishan recovered back to their original points. It was even vaguely greater than before. Luck path is truly mystical. Fang Yuan saw this and sighed inwardly. Recently, he had a greater understanding of luck path. Luck was not omnipotent. It largely depended on one's strength and cultivation level. That a thought from Fang Yuan could change the luck of the two of them. This was because he was an immortal zombie. Killing the two of them was as easy as killing ants. Back then, Ma Hongyun had many people going after him, but he instead turned danger into blessings. But now that he was in old ancestor Shuehu's hands, he could not turn the situation around. The rank 8 fortune rivaling heaven could not make up for the huge difference in their strength. Or rather, old ancestor Shuehu, as a rank 8 great expert, had the power to suppress it. There was also who immortal blessed land's calamity. Fang Yuan used time assist luck. In the end, because of connect luck, the increase in luck was split into 4 and Fang Yuan only kept one portion. The three of them had their gains and fortuitous opportunities, while Fang Yuan barely had any. That was because Fang Yuan was too strong. He was already an immortal. He needed much more good luck to obtain the same benefits as them. It was much more difficult to influence him than mortals. On the stage, more and more clamoring could be heard. The urging of the crowd drew more and more people to join in. Those in Flying Frost sect no longer had to steer this matter. Fang Yuan waved his hand. We can duel, but I have no interest in these things. If I lose, I will give you green shine goo. But if you lose, I want you to be my slave and be under my command for life. Disciple, you cannot agree. Old Man Shishan's face paled as he shouted. Everyone looked at each other. This was a great plan by Fang Yuan. The other party was a refinement path genius. He had a bright future. If he won, he would obtain a refinement path master level slave. Senior, isn't this request too much? Zheng Shanchuan was young, but he would not agree so easily. After all, his future was at stake. This would affect his whole life. Of course you can reject me, but I will tell you now, if you do not use yourself as the wager, I will not duel. Fang Yuan sneered, saying, do you think there are lots of green shine goo around? This is the perfect goo for treating heat toxins. Lad, the tree may wish to be, yet the wind continues to blow. The son wants to fulfill his duty, but his parents are no longer around. Time waits for no man. Often, the opportunity is right in front of you. If you miss it, you will regret it for life. Does this person know that my master is afflicted with heat toxins? Zheng Shanchuan was shocked. These words from Fang Yuan, like, the son wants to fulfill his duty, but his parents are no longer around. And if you miss it, you will regret it for life, were affecting him greatly. Disciple, you must not agree to the duel. We can think of another way. Old man Shishan's expression was grim. He was an experienced person. Fang Yuan's words were like bait. He had evil intentions. He was trying to trick a young and inexperienced person like Zheng Shanchuan. The duel is their matter. Outsiders are not to interfere. A flying frost sect elder came over. His face was austere as he spoke to Fang Yuan and Zheng Shanchuan. Both of you have disrupted the competition. Are you going to duel? If you are dueling, our sect's first elder is magnanimous and is willing to give you an area to compete in. Please decide quickly. Old man Shishan felt an alarm blaring inside him. He was about to speak, but Fang Yuan said, lad, I am giving you this opportunity because I am touched by your filial piety. If you miss it, in the future, I will not agree to any duels even if you ask me. I will not bully a kid like you. I will give you a chance. You can propose the duel task. What? Senior, you are letting me choose. Zheng Shanchuan was moved. Originally, the duel would be initiated by one party, and both sides would put up a wager. But the content of the duel would need to be agreed upon by both sides. If they refined a goo that one party was familiar with, while the other has not refined it before, that would not be fair. Now, Fang Yuan was letting Zheng Shanchuan choose. That was to say, Zheng Shanchuan could use his forte and trouble Fang Yuan. He could only accept it with no way to change the task. Once he said that, the surrounding goo masters gasped. They were thinking that Fang Yuan was too arrogant. Their money was on the young goo master, Zheng Shanchuan. Now, disciple, do not duel. Our real business is on the competition. Old man Shishan continued to urge him. Even though Zheng Shanchuan had a huge advantage, this old man was still worrying. He did not want any mishaps to happen to his disciple. But Zheng Shanchuan was a young man. He was hot-blooded. Master's heat toxins are very severe. It will be too late if we do not treat it soon. The other party is so arrogant. He is looking down on my age. The goo I am most familiar with is careful goo. This goo is a specialty of ours. It is rank 3 and has many complex steps. The techniques needed for it are numerous. I spent 3 years putting in so much hard work, only now having an 80% chance of success. I will duel him with this. Thinking of this, Zheng Shanchuan made up his mind, saying to Fang Yuan, I will duel. Chapter 834, Refinement Path Killer Move, Spinning Golden Bell. Disciple. Old man Shishan was extremely anxious. Zheng Shanchuan turned around and faced old man Shishan. On his young face, his eyes were bright and clear. Master, I am unfilial. I will have to go against your wishes. Master, he is letting me pose the problem. This is a huge advantage. I have no reason not to duel. If under such conditions, I refuse to duel, this will become a scar in my heart. Would I have any courage to progress further in refinement path? Old man Shishan heard his words and fell into silence. He sighed inwardly. Oh, disciple, you have little experience of the world. You do not know the deviousness of men. Since the other party is relenting to this extent, he is definitely confident of winning. He has his trump cards. You have been fooled. It is a pity. It is regretful. I am old and weak now. The situation has already been set. I cannot do anything to stop it. On the surface, old man Shishan stretched out his hand, grabbing Zheng Shanchuan's shoulder. Disciple, I understand your filial intentions. All right, you can make your own decision. I will support you on this. Use careful goo as the dual task. We will not bet on the success of the goo refinement, but the time. Whoever refines careful goo first will win. Master. Zheng Shanchuan was so touched his eyes turned red. Careful gu was the sole secret inheritance of old man Qi Shan. It was not circulated to the outside world. To support his disciple, old man Qi Shan took out this precious gu recipe, allowing his opponent, Fang Yuan, to see it. He even suggested that they competed in terms of time. This was Fang Yuan's first time refining careful gu. He would not be familiar with it. If they competed using time, he would face more pressure than just needing success. As expected, the old were the wisest. Fang Yuan allowed his opponent to choose the gu. He gave a huge advantage to him. He was in a passive situation. Zheng Shanchuan hesitated for a moment. He felt that his master's suggestion was taking advantage of his opponent. Even if he won, it was not a glorious win. But he immediately thought about the fact that this matter involved his master's safety. Even if he won unfairly, he needed to win the green shine gu. Thus, he turned around and gave his decision to the Flying Frost Sect elder. Flying Frost Sect quickly arranged it. First Elder and Han was overjoyed. He took the initiative to leave, giving them the venue in his place. Fang Yuan and Zheng Shanchuan went onto the stage, engaging in their duel. The surroundings went quiet. Both parties were dozens of steps away from each other, sitting on the ground. Zheng Shanchuan first took out the gu recipe of careful gu and gave it to Fang Yuan. Soon, Flying Frost Sect announced the commencement of this duel. Below the stage, discussions could be heard. I've never heard of careful gu. It is definitely their specialty gu recipe. That Fang Yuan only has had a short time to look at it before the duel started. Isn't this going overboard? Hee, this is Fang Yuan's fault for being too arrogant. He allowed the opponent to choose the gu. He made a really stupid decision. The young gu master is not simple. He was second place in the previous round, but his score was good enough to hit first place. Many people are guessing that he is a refinement path master. Hearing this, many people scoffed. How is this possible? How old is he? At this age, he is already a refinement path master. In that case, with my age, have I been living like a dog all this time? But as the competition progressed, under everyone's watchful gazes, Zheng Shanchuan used nearly 10 gu refinement techniques with extremely skillful manipulation. It was a dazzling sight. Among the spectators, those who guessed that Zheng Shanchuan had master-level refinement path attainment soared in numbers. But Fang Yuan was still researching the gu recipe. He had not started the gu refinement. Looking at this, the crowd did not think well of Fang Yuan. Oh no. Old man Qi Shan frowned. This person has such a calm nature. He is trying to decipher each step before refining the gu. This is the demeanor of an expert, calm under any situation. Thankfully, I use time as the factor. Whoever refines the gu first wins. The process of refining careful gu is complex. He cannot win unless he is familiar with the gu recipe and has practiced with it more than little Chuan. That was impossible, of course. This was the first time Fang Yuan had seen this careful gu recipe. Careful gu was, strictly speaking, a wisdom path gu worm, but it had a huge use in refinement path. Fang Yuan guessed that this was the core gu in Zheng Shanchuan's inheritance. History had recorded that Shan Chuanhal's gu masters were most skilled at refining those gu worms, which had crucial steps that directly affected the success rate of the refinement. Careful gu was best in assisting the refinement path gu master to settle these problems. After Fang Yuan looked at the recipe several times, he understood it deeply and could use it properly. He was a refinement path quasi-grandmaster. It was not hard to understand a rank 3 gu recipe. In truth, not only did he read the gu recipe, he also observed Zheng Shanchuan's techniques. Zheng Shanchuan was already at the middle part of the gu refinement. Fang Yuan had watched the first part closely. Even Fang Yuan had to nod his head in acknowledgement. With Zheng Shanchuan's age, it was very hard to get to his level. But as a refinement path quasi-grandmaster, Fang Yuan could see that his techniques were not skilled enough. There were still flaws when he dealt with the materials. Fang Yuan stretched out his hands and started to refine the gu. He is finally refining the gu. Outside the stage, quiet mocking voices could be heard. He is not anxious at all. Someone evaluated impartially. Fang Yuan started to refine the gu. It attracted Zheng Shanchuan's gaze. But he only took one look before concentrating on his own task again. Fang Yuan started gu refinement. He went through it step by step. All of the bystanders were staring in disdain. These were Zheng Shanchuan's techniques. But soon, Fang Yuan made some modifications. He used a different technique. and his Gu refinement speed got faster. The mocking sounds in the crowd vanished. Everyone watching his hands moving at lightning speed in shock. He has already used more than 10 Gu refinement techniques. Such experienced Gu refinement techniques with deep foundation. He is unfathomable. He is getting faster. He is chasing up to Zheng Shanchuan. Old man Qishan frowned tightly. He was shocked inwardly. This person's speed is not scary. The problem is, he is fast without any anxiety. His techniques are so calm and collected. Impressive, very impressive. This person's refinement path attainment is probably not just master level. Little Chuan is going to feel pressure. He cannot lose control of himself and become anxious. Careful Gu gets harder as the refinement proceeds. Little Chuan has the advantage. He needs to maintain it. The enemy is strong. If he loses his bearings, he is bound to lose. Zheng Shanchuan's pressure was high indeed. This was very normal. In running competitions, the person at the very front has the greatest mental pressure. Thus, many strategies revolved around conserving energy, only attempting to go all out at the end. The greater the mental pressure, the greater the burden on the body. Especially when Zheng Shanchuan was seeing Fang Yuan refining Gu rapidly and catching up to him. He could not help but be flustered. Such ability. He used more than 10 refinement techniques, and he is still continuing. His mind is too strong. I cannot compete with him on this. Oh no, he is catching up. Zheng Shanchuan was a youngster. Fang Yuan's rapid speed was making his mouth dry. His heart was pounding. His gaze was firm. Forget it. I'll use my trump card and leave you in the dust. Zheng Shanchuan made up his mind. His refinement speed slowed. His mind entered his aperture as he activated his Gu worms. Is little Chuan going to? The master and disciple had great mutual understanding. After seeing his actions, old man Qishan understood Zheng Shanchuan's plan. He became nervous. Zheng Shanchuan's Gu refinement speed is slowing. Soon, the spectators noticed this change. Are the steps ahead going to be very difficult? He needs to recompose himself. Many people were making guesses. They did not know the recipe of careful Gu. They were inaccurate in their conjectures this time. Zheng Shanchuan breathed in deeply. His eyes shined with a golden light as his body was covered in a golden glow. He stretched out his right hand rapidly. His open palm was facing down and pressing heavily in an instant. All of the golden light in his eyes and body gathered on his right hand. The golden light condensed and formed into a small golden bell. The golden bell spun slowly, covering all of the fire in which the refinement was occurring. It became faster and faster as it emitted a suction force. The Gu refinement materials that were gathered on the floor were all sucked into the golden bell. The golden bell only lasted for 6 breaths of time before it faded. But at the next moment, before everyone's eyes, an incomplete careful Gu was formed. The crowd was in a commotion. This is a refinement path killer move. Refinement path killer moves can be considered rarer than killer moves of other paths. Zheng Shanchuan is still so young, yet he already knows a refinement path killer move. What is most precious is that he actually succeeded in using it. This lad's talent is incredible. His future is unpredictable. Fang Yuan is in danger. He has the ability, but he was too careless. Zheng Shanchuan already had such a huge advantage, but he still used a killer move. It was all for victory. He is really stopping at nothing. In my opinion, even if Fang Yuan loses this, it was not disgraceful. Zheng Shanchuan let out a breath of turbid air. His expression was spirited. I am definitely winning. I used my killer move and instantly grinded 6 Gu refinement materials. I completed the longest step in this Gu refinement already. I am way ahead of Fang Yuan now. Old man Qishan's heart settled. Even if Fang Yuan has a similar refinement path killer move, this is his first time refining careful Gu. He has 0 experience. The usual procedure for this is to refine the 6 materials one by one while controlling the fire meticulously. If he uses a killer move to rush it, he would be causing his own doom. Even though little Chuan took a risk, it was a good decision. He is definitely going to win. The other Gu masters were not familiar with careful Gu. They did not understand the situation. But Fang Yuan was in dire straits. Any person could tell by completing this step in advance, he really did solidify his victory. Zheng Shanchuan stabilized his emotions and continued to refine Gu. His technique was fast and stable. He did not give Fang Yuan a chance. Fang Yuan was unmoved. He started to slowly refine the 6 materials, slowly boiling them as he refined the materials. This step was not hard at all. It was just time-consuming. But Fang Yuan was not anxious in the least. Chapter 835, Promise of 3 Matters. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Time passed. Zhongshan Chuan was finally at the last few steps of the refinement. The incomplete goo worm in the fire was becoming more clear. To play safe. He looked at Fang Yuan again. He saw that Fang Yuan had just finished the previous step. He had fused the 6 materials together. By this point, Zhongshan Chuan has to admire Fang Yuan's calmness. It is a pity. I am the victor of this duel. I will definitely get this green shine goo. Zhongshan Chuan was oozing with confidence, but when he retracted his gaze, Fang Yuan suddenly laughed loudly. Ha! Zhongshan Chuan, you lost. Look at my refinement path killer move. What? Zhongshan Chuan's heart shuddered. He immediately turned to look at Fang Yuan, only to see that Fang Yuan took out a goo worm and squashed it. Instantly, Zhongshan Chuan's pupils shrunk to the size of pins as he was about to jump. He screamed at Fang Yuan angrily. You actually destroyed green shine goo. As he said this, the fire in his hands became unstable. It went out of control and exploded. The explosion was not intense, but after it occurred, Zhongshan Chuan's clean face was covered in soot. He was like charcoal. It was a sad sight. Zhongshan Chuan was stunned on the spot. He froze like a statue. Such a huge change had occurred in mere moments. Everyone outside was silent for a few breaths before reacting. They were all shocked. Their voices overlapped and caused a huge wave of chattering. What a ruthless demonic path goo master. He directly destroyed green shine goo, causing Zhongshan Chuan to lose control and fail the goo refinement. All his hard work was wasted. This Fang Yuan is too good at scheming. He flipped the situation around instantly. Zhongshan Chuan failed and has to restart the refinement now. Fang Yuan's advantage is too great now. Even if Zhongshan Chuan repeats the process, he cannot catch up to Fang Yuan. Most importantly, he only destroyed his own goo. This cannot be determined as him maliciously interfering with his opponent. Oh no. He actually did this. This actually happened. Old man Shishan was flustered. Zhongshan Chuan suffered a huge blow. He took a long while before recovering. When he regained control of his mental state and restarted the goo refinement, Fang Yuan was at the last step already. This duel no longer had any surprises. Fang Yuan was the eventual winner. Exciting. This was too exciting. The spectators were commenting with much enthusiasm. Zhongshan Chuan was too young and naive. He lost his bright future now. Sigh. Some people felt pity. Of course, some people were happy. For example, and Han. But he was the first elder of a righteous sect. He could only be happy in secret. He had to express his sympathy towards Zhongshan Chuan's fate on the outside. The duel was over. Fang Yuan stood up as Zhongshan Chuan stared at the flame in his hands blankly. That he lost. He lost his life, his bright future to a mysterious demonic path goo master in a duel. How could this be? What should he do? Zhongshan Chuan felt that his future was bleak. There was no hope. Senior, please spare him. Both of us had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. We offended Senior. Please be magnanimous. My disciple is still young and innocent. Please let him go. I am willing to replace him and contribute all of my savings in exchange for his freedom. Please have mercy on us. Please spare us. Old man Shishan knelt on the ground, kowtowing to Fang Yuan non-stop. The old man's head hit the floor, causing a wave of loud thudding sounds. His face was covered in blood. Master. Zhongshan Chuan was jolted to awareness. He hurried over and tried to help old man Shishan get up, but old man Shishan was insistent. He pushed his disciple away as he continued to kowtow, begging for mercy. Master. Zhongshan Chuan's face was full of tears. With a splat, he knelt down facing old man Shishan. Everyone looked at this with varying expressions. Flying Frost sect's leader showed a look of regret and sympathy. An Han was coldly sneering internally. But the duel was over. How could the terms be changed under everyone's watchful gazes? Unless Fang Yuan was willing to let them go. But he was a ruthless, demonic cultivator. Zhongshan Chuan was a refinement pathmaster at such a young age. How could Fang Yuan let him go? Even if it were the righteous path goo masters in his position, They would not let Jingshan Chuan go. The cruel and harsh side of the refinement path convention was displayed in front of everyone. But at the next moment, Fang Yuan said to old man Shan, "It is not impossible to let him go." And Han's mental sneer froze. The place went silent. What? Jingshan Chuan was stunned. Old man Shan was the first to react. He was overjoyed. "Thank you, Senior, for your magnanimity. Thank you, Senior, for your kindness." Fang Yuan smiled. His tone was warm and kind. People should be kind to one another. That is also being kind to oneself. Everyone heard this and showed looks of disbelief that weren't his words too fake. Who was it who destroyed the green shine goo earlier and made a young lad lose? And Han's expression changed. He screamed inwardly, "Hey, are you still a demonic path goo master? Quickly act ruthless. What are you saying? Are you not cold at all? Are you trying to make the entire demonic path lose face?" Fang Yuan's words changed. "But, since you offended me, you need to be punished." Everyone immediately restored their composure. Han calmed down. He was overjoyed. "Oh, so this is it. He is trying to toy with their relationship. Ha ha ha. That is right. This is the demeanor of the demonic path." Jingshan Chuan's expression tightened. Old man Shan started to kowtow again. He shouted, "Lord, please have mercy. Forget it. I will not make you my slave for life. I want you to do 3 things. But now, you are not qualified yet to do things for me. As for what these 3 matters are, I have not decided yet. Maybe I will not make you do any in your entire life. Maybe in the next moment, I will ask you to do 3 matters. It will all depend on my mood." Fang Yuan said slowly. His voice was not loud, but the people were quiet, listening to him. Old man Shan sighed out in relief. He shouted while holding back his tears, "Thank you, Lord, for your mercy." Jingshan Chuan lowered his head. "Junior, thanks, Senior. 3 matters compared to being a slave for life. The former was much easier to accept. Central Continent was dominated by the righteous path. If Jingshan Chuan had the identity of a demonic path goo master's slave, even if he had refinement path talent, he would be unable to be successful and make a name for himself. But handling these 3 matters was just an agreement. Having an agreement between righteous path and demonic path goo masters was nothing much. Jingshan Chuan's future was still very bright. Looking at the master and disciple who were extremely grateful to him, Fang Yuan laughed, ordering, "Both of you, bite your tongues and give me a drop of blood from the tips of your tongues." Old man Shan and Jingshan Chuan looked at each other. They bit their tongues and gave the blood to Fang Yuan with much fear. Fang Yuan stretched out his right arm, and his 5 fingers closed up, grasping the 2 drops of blood in his hand. Next, he moved his hand, grinding with his fingers as black smoke emerged from the spaces between his fingertips. When the black smoke faded, Fang Yuan opened his hand, showing 2 goo worms. Old man Shan and Jingshan Chuan were staring with wide-opened eyes. These 2 goo were a pair of rank 4 goo. Everyone gasped. Fang Yuan was actually so formidable, he refined a pair of rank 4 goo in a few breaths' time. This is the technique of blood path. He actually has such astounding blood path goo refinement techniques. Flying Frost sects higher-ups were showing dark expressions. Even the demonic path goo masters outside showed looks of wariness. Blood path was notorious. It was even more vile than using soul path techniques to burn human souls. Righteous path members would hunt it down. Even the demonic path often excluded it. This pair of rank 4 goo can sense each other. You 2 will take one, I will take the other. If I have anything to request of you, I will send someone over carrying this blood path goo worm as the symbol. These 2 blood path goo worms can sense each other and tell if they are real. Even if you die in the future, these 3 matters will extend to your children, descendants, disciples, and other later generations. Are you willing? If not, be my slave." Fang Yuan said. "Willing, we are willing." Old man Shan replied hurriedly. Fang Yuan's hand moved, and one of the blood path goo worms was tossed to old man Shan. He tossed Jingshan Chuan another goo. When Jingshan Chuan received this goo, he was stunned. He stammered, This is green shine goo?" Fang Yuan stored the other blood path goo worm away as he said slowly, laughing, "Did you really think I destroyed green shine goo?" As he laughed, he left the dumbfounded goo masters behind. Turning around, and leaving. Zheng Shanchuan looked blankly at Fang Yuan leaving, as old man Qishan stored the blood path goo worm carefully. He did not dare to violate this agreement. Their witnesses were not just Flying Frost sect, but the entire refinement path convention itself. All of the competitions, including this duel, were recorded. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects and all of the forces that joined the refinement path convention had the evidence. He could not deny it. Master, you need to heal the injury on your head. Zheng Shanchuan quickly got up, helping old man Qishan up. Go. Quickly leave. We cannot stay here anymore. Old man Qishan was intimidated by Fang Yuan's methods. He was truly shell-shocked now. He urged his disciple to leave this terrifying place. With this, Zheng Shanchuan backed out of the competition, no longer joining the rest of the rounds. But he had obtained green shine goo, his original goal. After this matter, old man Qishan gave Zheng Shanchuan a good lesson using this as an example, telling him how vicious Fang Yuan's methods were. He truly had a grasp on the nature of people. He next told Zheng Shanchuan about the jealousy of Flying Frost sect's first elder, and Han, towards the talents of others. He was the person surreptitiously encouraging this duel. Zheng Shanchuan matured greatly from this matter. He finally understood his own shortfalls, as well as the vicious nature of the world. For most of his life, he tried all sorts of ways to treat old man Qishan while raising his refinement path attainment, keeping a low profile. When he was 53 years old, he healed old man Qishan's poison. When he was 88 years old, he became a refinement path grandmaster without causing much of a disturbance. In his final years, he returned to Central Continent's East Coast, creating a sect that he named after himself. It was called Shanchuan Hall. His life ended at 150 years old. He did not join the refinement path convention ever again, as for the agreement of those three matters. That was another story.